The NFL trade deadline has come and gone again, except this time kind of reminded us of the NBA. Trade deadline was crazy. We had all kinds of deals, probably the most deals that have ever happened in an NFL trade deadline season. Typically you have rumors here and there that things going on, but this time you didn't see any of that. You saw big deals pretty much happening the past couple weeks and all the way up until the buzzer. So we're going to take a look at a couple of these deals, let you know what I think. We're going to look at all the major ones. I didn't touch on some of the smaller deals because I feel like they don't have a huge impact. They could, not saying they don't, but they could have a big impact going later on in the season. But let's take a look at some of the bigger deals. So here we go. We're going to start with the Carolina Panthers trade for Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers. They get draft picks. Obviously, being a Panthers fan, this was a tough one to see. Don't get me wrong. I was very upset to see Christian McCaffrey go, but at the end of the day, it's been a couple weeks now. He's played 2 games with the 49ers. I've seen what we look like. I've seen what they look like. I'm okay with it. McCaffrey, obviously being, to me, when healthy, and he's been healthy all season. I feel like a lot of people aren't giving him credit for that. People keep saying, whenever he gets hurt, whenever he's going to get hurt. He hasn't gotten hurt this season. He's played every game. He has been managed in a way in practice and in the offseason where they tried to cut down on some of that workload during the season, but I feel like they've done a really good job with that so far. So taking a look at McCaffrey, he's a fantastic fit for the 49ers. I think he's done a really good job. Kyle Shanahan, the way they run that offense, yes, I don't approve of the quarterback situation that they have right now. However, McCaffrey, he fits perfectly in that offense. 49er fans are seeing that. He's throwing for touchdowns. He's catching touchdowns. He's running touchdowns. He's doing a great job. So when I take a look at it, for the 49ers, they did give up a lot of capital. Now, I know a lot of people say that for the Panthers, they should have got a first-round pick. They should have got a second-round pick. Well, they did get a second-round pick at least. They got multiple picks. They got a 2023 second-round pick, a 2023 third-round pick, a 2023 fourth-round pick, and a 2024 fourth-round pick. Now, I think for a running back that's in the prime of his career, around that 25, 26-year-old range, that's not a bad haul at all. I think people want that first-round pick just because of the talent that McCaffrey is, but for a running back in today's market, it's just not feasible, so I understand. So I like what the Panthers did. They get they get a second, they get multiple fourths and a third-round pick. Not bad. Scott Fitterer, Panthers GM, he is no stranger to trading picks and to moving up, so they recoup some picks that they made from trades previously for Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield, those kind of trades. They get some of those back. They also get rid of a massive contract. Yes, they still do owe McCaffrey quite a bit of money, but they get some of that contract off the books. And the 49ers, I don't think McCaffrey is the missing piece for their offense. I do think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to hold them back to a certain extent. However, I do think McCaffrey fits perfectly in that offense. I understand why both parties did the trade. For me, not a bad deal for both. I think it's solid for both teams. Panthers get draft capital in the future. Donta Foreman in his 2 games so far as a Panther has looked pretty good, especially last week against the Falcons. 49ers, they've been kind of doing a running back by committee. Now they get a guy that they could really rely on, who's terrific, and he fits great in the Kyle Shanahan system. So I do like this trade for both parties, and I get it now. Moving on, we got Roquan Smith going to the Ravens. The Bears get A.J. Klein in exchange for a 2023 second-round pick, a 2023 fifth-round pick. Now, looking at this deal here, this is a win-now move for the Ravens, and let me explain. The Ravens have been known for having a very good defense for the majority of their franchise's, existence. Defense, run the football, win games. And that's pretty much what has been done for them the past couple years. This year, the defense is not quite up to snuff with what they have been. Granted, they have had some injuries. They have lost some guys to free agency in the past couple years. But I think this is a good move for the Ravens, who now sit atop of the AFC North. It still remains to be seen if Lamar Jackson can get it done in the playoffs. I think he can. I hope so. But I like this move for the Ravens because it's a win-now move. Now, we're going to see if it's going to pay off because Roquan Smith, he's going to want a payday. He wasn't going to re-sign with the Bears, which is pretty much the reason they moved on from him. So I get why the Bears did it, but for the Ravens' perspective, I think this is a solid move. You improve your defense. You get a guy that fits right into your system. If you can get him long-term on a good deal, great. If not, then it's going to be tough. They didn't necessarily give up a ton. They did give up a 2023 second-round pick. I think that's tough. And A.J. Klein, who's a veteran linebacker, he's been around the league. He's a solid player. For the Bears, I think this is great. You got a guy who wanted to be traded. You weren't going to re-sign him, unfortunately. You're going all in next offseason to really build up this young team and put talent around Justin Fields, and we'll get into another trade they made later on. But right now, you get a 2023 draft pick. It's going to be a later pick, but that's fine. And then you get a 5th round pick, and plus you get a veteran linebacker as well. I get it. It's a win now move for the Ravens. It's a future move for the Bears as they try to build up their team to be young and to help Justin Fields out around their young quarterback. I like it for both sides. I really don't have any complaints. The Dolphins and the Broncos. Bradley Chubb is now a Miami Dolphin. So, the Dolphins get Bradley Chubb from the Broncos, and they also get a 2025 5th round pick. The Broncos get running back Chase Edmonds, a 2023 1st round pick, and a 2024 4th round pick. Once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I actually do like this move for both sides. The Dolphins clearly trying to win now. However, I don't know if it depends on the availability of Tua. It depends. I think the Dolphins will be a playoff team, but can Tua remain healthy and can he get it done in the playoffs? That's what has to be seen and remains to be seen. We haven't seen that yet. But so far, the structure of their team, for a long time, they've been acquiring draft picks, using draft picks, moving draft picks. They flip a lot of those picks now that they've had for some guys. I like the move for Bradley Chubb. He fits really good in their system. He's going to get a long-term extension with the Dolphins, part of the reason he wanted out of the Broncos. He's been a little up and down the past year or so, but Bradley Chubb's still a really good player, and I think this is going to re-energize his career somewhat. I think he's going to do a nice job there in Miami. The Broncos, this is good for them because they weren't going to re-sign Bradley Chubb, and at the same time, they're able to recoup some of those picks. Excuse me, voice crack there. They're able to recoup some of those picks there that they got for the Russell Wilson deal, which right now is not looking very good at all. Let's ride. Right now, it's not looking good. And by taking a look at things, a 2023 first round pick, not bad. And then also getting a mid-round pick. Yes, you did give up a lot for Russell Wilson. This doesn't make up for all of it, but it's a right start. And the Broncos, getting rid of a guy who is a good player, but they weren't going to re-sign, get some picks. I like it for both sides. It's not too bad. The Bears and the Steelers. To me, this one could go either way. I like it for the Bears because I think Chase Claypool is a very solid receiver. His rookie year, he looked really exceptional, like he was going to turn into something, special. This season past and this season so far, he's been okay, a little bit up and down. He hasn't really jumped on the scene quite like he did his rookie season. However, the Bears do get an option for Justin Fields, and I do like that about the Bears, is that, you see a lot of young quarterbacks come into the league, especially with Cam Newton starting out whenever he was a rookie, and a lot of these younger guys that have gone on, they don't really get the help they need, the weapons they need from their front office. And the Bears, while you might think Justin Fields might not be that good, he's not the answer, at least they're trying to get him some help and do something. So I do give the Bears that benefit. However, the Steelers get a 2nd round pick in exchange for that. That is a huge win for the Steelers because, listen, there's one thing the Steelers can do, it's draft wide receivers. They can get rid of Claypool and they can get somebody else. That's no problem. However, the Bears giving up a 2023 2nd round pick, which will likely be a high draft pick, that's a little bit tough to stomach for me. Unless Chase Claypool becomes what he was his rookie season and really develops, that's going to kind of determine the layout of this deal, how much I like it. But right now, I think the Steelers won this trade. They get rid of a guy that they can easily replace. They have younger guys at receiver as well, and they get a 2nd round pick for him. Big win for the Steelers. Hope it works out for the Bears, but that is remain to be seen. Eagles get Robert Quinn, and the Bears get a 2023 4th round draft pick. Again, the Bears on the move, making a lot of trades here. I like this move for the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles are undefeated right now. They're trying to get as good as they can to go into the postseason. Robert Quinn, a good veteran lineman. He's been on so many teams, and he's always delivered. Been a very solid player for a long time. Went to the University of North Carolina. Shout out to him. But yeah, I think this is a good move for both teams. The Bears, you flip a veteran player who's solid but up there in age, and you get a 4th round pick for him. A mid-round pick, that's not bad. And the Eagles get a guy that can really help them. It's not going to do anything to hurt their team. You get a veteran, bring him in. He's a solid player. Eagles going all in. Bears toiling for the future. Now, this one here is a little difficult. The Vikings get TJ Hawkinson, a 2023 4th round pick, and a 2024 fourth round pick. The Lions, in exchange, get a 2023 second round pick and a 2024 third round pick. I like this move and I don't like it. Let's start with the Vikings. First off, they get I would say a top 10 tight end. TJ Hockenson, he's been solid. He's not the best, he's not the worst, but he's been a solid player. And their tight end position is a bit weak. I think Irv Smith is out for the season with an ankle injury, or he's going to be gone for a long time. So they're adding another weapon to that offense. They've already got Thielen, they got Justin Jefferson, they got Dalvin Cook, they got Madison, and Kirk Cousins to a certain degree, and I'll get into that in a minute. But this is a nice move for the Vikings to get a quality tight end to help further that offense. However, I don't know if I believe in Kirk Cousins. I like him during the regular season in parts, but in the postseason, can he get it done? That remains to be seen. I don't think this is the move that's going to send them over the top to really propel them into the NFC. I think they're going to win the NFC North, obviously, but it's going to be tough. And you never know what's going to happen. I like Hockenson as a player, but I don't think he's that guy that's really going to send them into the forefront of the NFC, but we'll see how that works out. And for the Lions, you get a 2023 second round pick. That's nice. And you get a third round pick from 2024. Guy was probably not going to re-sign there. It was going to be probably a pretty decent sized contract for a tight end that's not necessarily top tier, but not at the bottom. But I'll tell you what, man, the Lions don't really seem to make up their mind on what they want to do. Was TJ Hockenson the best player on the team? No, but he wasn't the worst, and he was a solid building block for their future. Next season, they're going to draft a quarterback. Who are they going to have to throw the ball? I mean, yeah, they've got some nice younger players here and there, but, you get rid of a guy, and it's kind of tough because, yeah, you could draft a guy to replace him on a younger contract. That's possible, but I think to be a young, rebuilding team that always seems to be rebuilding, it does help to have those guys that have been there for a couple seasons, that are veterans, that understand and are really solid players for your foundation. And it sucks to see them go from Detroit, but are they trying to win? Or are they they've been trying to win, but they're rebuilding, but they've been rebuilding for so long. When is that going to stop? So I understand it from the Vikings and the Lions perspective. However, I don't necessarily love it for the Vikings, and I don't necessarily love it for the Lions because they get rid of one of their solid players in terms of just flipping it for hopefully not have to pay him a big contract. So we'll see. This move here has the biggest potential to me. It's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars getting Calvin Ridley. Now, in exchange, the Falcons get a 2023 fifth round pick and a 2024 second round pick. Listen, we all know what's going on with Calvin Ridley. He's suspended for the season for the gambling stuff. He's taken off time in the past for his mental well-being and for his family and things like that, which is fine. And to begin with, I don't think the gambling was warranted that kind of suspension personally. I understand the NFL has a big no-no policy about that, but I didn't necessarily agree with a year-long suspension to begin with. But the Jacksonville Jaguars really get a borderline number one receiver, one of the best route runners in the league when available, in Calvin Ridley. I think that's a fantastic move for them next season because Trevor Lawrence, yes, he has not been as good as advertised so far. I still don't think he's a bust or anything by that means, but there's still some to be desired. This move next season gives him a guy that can be a really, really good player for them, and someone that's going to be really energized after being out for so long. Falcons, they get some draft picks for a guy that they weren't going to bring back, and he gets a fresh start. Yes, he's going to be 28, 29 by the time he is there in Jacksonville, but I think this is a move that the Jags needed on offense. They've got some nice pieces, but Christian Kirk and those guys and Zay Jones, they're not going to be the ones who really get it done, and I think this is a nice move for the Jaguars for next season to continue the development of Trevor Lawrence. The Bills get Nyheim Hines, and the Colts get Zach Moss and a 2023 fifth-round pick. Nyheim Hines, little fact here, I played against him in high school, and he actually played him in my last high school game of all time, my senior year. We played him at his home field in the playoffs, and he absolutely demolished, just ran all over us. So, how you doing, Nyheim Hines? Anyway, that's a good move for both teams. Nyheim Hines actually just signed a long-term contract with the Colts, I think last year, 2021. He's always been a solid return man, a good second down back, a little bit of a receiving back. But not to the level of Jonathan Taylor, and the Bills get him for basically a player. Zach Moss really not doing much there in Buffalo, so they trade him away. And, they get a guy that can do a little bit of everything. I think he's a nice punch to the Bills' offense, a little bit of a receiving back, a little bit of a return man. He's a faster guy. I think that gives the Bills just a little bit more juice on offense, as if they didn't need any more. And for the Colts, they get rid of a guy who, they really weren't using properly. I hate to see him go from the Colts, but with Jonathan Taylor there, even with him being injured a lot this season, he wasn't being used properly. And you get rid of that guy, and it kind of sucks for Colts, but at the same time, they get another running back in exchange, and they get a mid-round pick next season. We'll see what they can do with that. But I like the move for both teams, but more of the Bills in this one. The Dolphins get Jeff Wilson. The 49ers get a 2023 fifth-round pick. Mike McDaniel trying to bring it back to his days in San Francisco. You got Raheem Morris, you got Jeff Wilson. Those guys, they understand the offense that Mike McDaniel wants to run. They get it, and they get a guy who's been consistent. I will say that, moderately consistent. Obviously, the 49ers, no real use for him after getting the Christian McCaffrey trade, and they're able to recoup at least a pick that they got rid of in the McCaffrey trade. The Dolphins, I don't think this is a move that's, really going to send them over the top. They're a little bit running back by committee, but this fits into their system. Jeff Wilson sometimes is good, but also has trouble with fumbling the football at times. So we'll see if they can kind of coach that up some. But it's not a game-changer trade. I think the Dolphins are obviously going all in, but they get a guy who understands Mike McDaniel's system, can jump in right away, plug and play, and can be a nice change of pace back with Raheem Mostert and some of those guys out there. Niners, hey, they don't really have any use for the guy. They get a pick for him. Why not? I think it's a little bit of a win for both teams. The Jets get James Robinson, and the Jags get a 2023 sixth-round pick. I think this is good for both teams, but I think Jacksonville, seeing some of these picks, a 2023 for Jeff Wilson, the Jags only got a sixth-round pick. I think they probably could have got a little bit more, at least a fifth or fourth. I think they kind of got a bad return there in a way. James Robinson obviously has seen success before, but with the Jags, a little bit of a bad fit there at times. Travis Etienne kind of taking over that starting role, so not really a lot of room for him. Jets lost Breece Hall, who was having a great rookie season. They bring this guy in. I think a little bit later on down the stretch as the season goes, he's going to be a valuable pick. I like this for the Jets. They give up essentially nothing, and the Jags, for a solid player, only get a sixth-round pick. I think the Jets won this easily. Steelers get William Jackson III and a 2025 seventh-round pick. The Commanders get a 2025 sixth-round pick. This is an interesting move for both teams, as it was rumored that William Jackson was going to be pretty much released. So I guess the Steelers didn't feel confident in him being released and them signing him, so they trade him. Obviously, they only give up a sixth-round pick for 2025, not a big deal. But, you get a guy who's got a big contract. He's older. I think he's about 30 years old. Yes, the Steelers do address a need that they have, but to me, the Steelers essentially aren't really going anywhere this season. I don't think this is the best trade for them. The Commanders, they get rid of a lot of that contract, and at least they get a pick for it, I guess. They probably shouldn't have signed that contract to begin with, but at least they get rid of a guy that was, struggling with injuries, didn't really want to be there. I don't really think this is a win for either team unless William Jackson, kind of redeems himself and becomes that solid corner that we know him to be, and he can stay healthy, but that shall be seen. And with that being said, that is my breakdown of pretty much all of the deals, the big deals at least, for the NFL trade deadline this year. This is the most activity we've ever seen, and like I said before, it kind of reminded me of the NBA. Usually the NFL, there's all this talk, but things don't happen. But this year, there were some genuinely big trades. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Welcome to Blue Sports Media. Thank you for tuning in with us today, and we will see you